After barely seeing the field my freshman year, I had to consider transferring, and as a 7-foot running back that was a former 5-star recruit, I had loads of good schools interested in me such as UCLA, Stanford, Tennessee, and Hawaii. Additionally, a lot of them were promising that I'd be the starting running back for them, and although that was incredibly enticing, my mama didn't raise a quitter. I decided that I was going to stick it out at Notre Dame, and I'm going to fight my hardest to win that starting spot. For some reason, everybody was still hitting incredibly hard at practice, but that didn't bother me because as a sophomore, I was willing to fight through the pain. Yeah, maybe I couldn't feel my shoulder after this one, but if I could somehow become the starting running back, it would all be worth it. In my first game of the season, surprisingly, I got onto the field on our opening drive and I was terrible at running routes. I also wasn't very good at run blocking yet, so I certainly had a lot to learn throughout my sophomore season. On the bright side though, I was getting touches and I was making the most I could out of them. Obviously, we didn't start off the game well, but due to the leading halfback getting injured, I got to play a lot today until I went out of the game in pain. By the fourth quarter, we hadn't scored and we opened up the year with a loss. I was returning from injury this week against Northwestern and I was struggling immensely as I tripped over my offensive line. Due to that, I barely saw the field, but by the fourth quarter, Marcus Freeman had to put me in. It seemed like small injuries were going to be a big part in determining when I'd get onto the field for the Irish, so because of that, I was preying on Audric Estime's downfall. I don't think that makes me a bad teammate because I just wanted the opportunity to play a lot of snaps, and this field goal would secure our win over Northwestern where I rushed for 16 yards. Since I'm 7 feet tall, it was really hard to hit the holes in stride without stumbling over myself, and with my offensive line playing like this, becoming the starting running back would be quite the challenge. I mean, I was taking a pounding, so Marcus Freeman didn't trust me much yet, but I was still getting consistent snaps this season, and against Purdue, I took this halfback screen for a solid 15 yards. I was getting used out of the backfield, which made me more confident in my abilities, and then I rushed in for my first collegiate touchdown. I wasn't sure how, but it had seemed like I'd earned the starting role, and my team got off to a great start against the Boilermakers. I still couldn't take 2 guys at once, but I was getting really good at grasping on the balls and getting the first down.
What do you mean by that?
I saw an opportunity to pull off my first big run, and I came so close to breaking free, yet I couldn't. And plays like this would be the reason why I wouldn't stay the starter. I was clumsy, but sometimes it paid off, like when I sealed the game here, and I couldn't believe I totaled 147 yards. Apparently, I'm the luckiest college football player in the world because my team's starting running back, Audric Estime, was injured for weeks, and I didn't know how long I'd be halfback number 1, but I had an opportunity to take over and earn the starting spot for good, so I would do anything to make that a reality. If I was the reason we beat the Wolverines, who are ranked 12th, I felt like I could cement my spot as the best runner on the team even when Audric Estime came back from injury, but unfortunately, Tyler Buckner isn't exactly the best quarterback in the world, so that really hurt our chances of winning. However, I was making moves out of the backfield, picking up 10 to 15 yards each time after the catch, and in the third quarter, I thought I broke off a crazy touchdown run, but then I realized I didn't have the ball. We'd end up scoring anyway, and then I tied up the game minutes later. But I have even better news than that for you all. College football bowl season is finally here, so I'm hosting a free-to-enter bowl pick'em challenge where the winner takes home a jersey of their choice. You'll be competing against me, and all you have to do is predict the correct winners, which is all possible because of Run Your Pool. And if you don't know who Run Your Pool is, they're the home of competition, bringing sports fans together to connect, compete, and make every game matter more. I've worked with them in the past, and one of you all won a jersey from the regular season competition I held with them, but since I didn't win that one, I am not losing again. All you have to do to compete against me and potentially win a jersey of your choice is join my community pool with the first link in my description. Again, it's free, it takes less than like 60 seconds to sign up, and all you have to do is predict the correct winner of the bowl games. So if you think you're a smart college football fan, you probably have a good shot, but don't forget to join using the first link in my description because it's going to be a ton of fun. And now, let's see if I can beat Michigan. With 3 minutes remaining, Tyler Buckner would fake out the Wolverine defense with this read option, but somehow I got injured on the play, so I had to watch from the sidelines as we lost to Michigan by 16. However, I led the team with 8 receptions for 95 yards, so I got a chance to be running back 1. I'm not sure how I was in a position battle against an injured Audric Estime, but it was happening, and I have no idea how he did it from a stretcher. Like expected, I got got annihilated in the position battle, but he wouldn't end up playing in our home game against undefeated North Carolina, so I continued to get reps like I was the starter, and I was holding onto the ball like my life depended on it. By the third quarter, we were really struggling on offense, and I was not happy about it. I came to Notre Dame to be a part of a good team, but we stunk, and even though I'd get into the end zone here off of the beautifully executed halfback screen, we were still trailing the Tar Heels by 7 points, so we lost our third game of the year. However, I upgraded myself for the first time, and I actually picked up some speed. Since he was still injured, I'm not sure how Audric Estime kept participating in position battles against me, but this time I was determined to make sure I secured the starting running back spot. Ever since I focused on building up my speed, I noticed that it became much easier to evade around the defense, and I officially became RB1. I'm not sure why we were playing against Syracuse in MetLife Stadium, but I noticed that the rest of my teammates still sucked. So if we wanted any chance of beating an undefeated team today, I would have to play amazing. And with play calling like this with 30 seconds left in the half, I'm not sure our losses were all on my teammates. Even though I stuck it out and fought to be the starter here, I wasn't enjoying playing for the Irish. And granted, if we were 5-0, I probably wouldn't have any issues, but we weren't. Instead, we were about to become 2-4, and I didn't see any chance of us winning a national championship in the future, especially because we lost to Syracuse by 28. I couldn't penetrate the hole correctly against Virginia, so by the third quarter, we hadn't scored and we were down 17. However, even though I was coming from out of the backfield, I was making some big receiving plays, and I was doing everything I could to finally get us on the board. On the 1 yard line, Marcus Freeman called plays just like Pete Carroll, but it actually worked for him, and I would have loved to score my own touchdown there, but I just wanted to win, so this catch was huge for us. Until Tyler Buckner threw it straight to the other team on the next play. I couldn't believe we were 2-5, and even though I planned on transferring at the end of the year, my goal was to get Notre Dame to a bowl game. And since Stanford hadn't won yet this season, this felt like our best chance to bounce back and get a much needed win. I was playing pretty well as this run would go for over 20 and get me to exactly 69 yards on the day, but we were still trailing Stanford by 3, and I couldn't stand watching Tyler Buckner suck. I mean, seriously, what are these throws and reads that he's making? I was ready to find a new school, but if I wanted to get good offers, I would have to go out and prove that I could be a starter somewhere else. And I felt like I was showcasing that I could run and catch pretty well. I finally got into the end zone for the first time in weeks, and my performance was the only thing keeping us in this game, which should prove that I'm a future star. But with 15 seconds left, we were down by 3, and in the end, Tyler Buckner couldn't even get a last-second Hail Mary throw-off. I was sick. I just put up my best stat line ever, and now, if we lost one more time, we wouldn't be able to make a bowl game. So I was not happy we started down 7. It just felt like nobody on my team cared to win, and with 2 minutes left in the third quarter, we scored, but we were still losing by 3. Arizona State would keep that lead all the way up until the final 30 seconds, where we had a chance to go down the field and send it to overtime. But instead, to my surprise, Tyler Buckner slung it and connected with a Notre Dame receiver to give us the lead in the final seconds. And I watched nervously from the sidelines as time ran out and we finally pulled off a win. I couldn't believe we had done it, but to stay bowl eligible, we needed to win our final 3 games of the year. And against Navy, I felt like we should be able to dominate. I broke off 2 big runs on our opening drive, and I caught the first touchdown of the game. I followed it up by rushing it in for another one, giving me 2 on the day, and then I noticed that Audric Estime was finally back from injury, but I was still the starting halfback. I guess I had fully stolen his spot, but he could have it back next year when I transferred to another team. Once again, I got fooled into thinking I was going to score a touchdown when I didn't even have the ball, which didn't matter because we won by a lot, and I was pleased that I had scored twice. The next week, I was playing in a must-win game in the snow, and this was truly a beautiful scene to be a part of. Nothing beats a rivalry game in this weather, and I got so close to scoring, but I was held up on the goal line where I would get injured on the play. By the end of the third quarter, I was finally back out there, but for some reason, I was really struggling to hold onto the ball, and since we were trailing Pitt by 21 points, it wasn't looking good for us as we failed to pick up this much needed first down. After we lost to the Panthers, it wouldn't be possible to make a bowl appearance, so I was playing in my last game ever at Notre Dame, and it was against our rivals USC. With how the year went, I was ready to transfer to a new school, but first, I had to put on on a good performance, and with 15 seconds left in the half, I took this one in untouched. But we were struggling to keep up with the Trojans as we were down 8 going into the 4th, and once again, I lost my ability to catch the ball. Fortunately, it wasn't over yet, as for the first time in my career, I busted off a massive run. At 7 feet tall, I outran the entire USC defense for a 74-yard touchdown, and we ended up getting the 2-point conversion and the ball back with 3 minutes left, so things were looking good, and I couldn't believe Tyler Buckner gave us the lead on this miraculous 18-yard run. But Caleb Williams tied it up, so we had a minute to score again, and I watched from the sidelines as Tyler Buckner threw the game-ending interception. Not only did he turn it over, but the Trojans took it to the house, and I knew I couldn't stay here for another season. So after I put up 718 rushing yards and almost 500 receiving yards, I was ready to enter the transfer portal. I'm not sure where I'll end up, but I'll make that decision on Friday, December 16th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time.